You filming?
Yes.
Thank you.
I am delighted that you're all talking to each other. That's one of the major reasons to do this. We want to know who our friends are. So I'm glad that we're making new friends here tonight. We have numerous towns here. Okay, so let me just ask you to show me, everybody from Townsend, raise your hand. Okay, all my friends from Townsend, very good. Okay, a whole cluster of them over there. Okay, everybody from Groton, please raise your hand. Okay, Groton people, very good. Good Groton people. Okay, people from Pepperell, please raise your hand. Pepperell, welcome Pepperell. Okay, people from Lunenberg, raise your hand. Okay, all our friends from Lunenberg. Okay, people from Ashby, raise your hand, Ashby. Okay. Note that Ashby, they're just getting regrouped after not having a committee in Ashby. Nice. Thank you, Ashby. Okay, Shirley people. Are there Shirley people here? Okay. There's some Ayer people here. Where are our Ayer friends? Okay. Are there any other towns I've missed? Okay, where are you from? Okay, Janet. Hamilton. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Now, are the chairs, RTC chairs of all these towns here? Okay. Paul, wave your hand. Okay, you're the chair of Groton. Okay. Mike, you're the chair of Lunenberg, and Mary, you're the chair of Pepperell. Okay, and you're the chair in Ashby, and Shirley chair. That's right. And who else is here that's a chair? Is that all the chairs that are here? Okay.
You're the chair.
You're the chair in town. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So now I want everybody to greet our guest tonight, Brad Wyatt. Brad is. Thank you, Brad, for being here. And I'm thinking that I won't ask you to make your main speech right now, but you can just say hi if you want to.
Yeah, it's actually really great to see everybody. You know, I may be the national committee man, but I'm a grassroots guy at heart. You know, I started out on my RTC.
Please
I was frustrated with government, and my factory and everything, so I decided to get involved. You know, for everybody here is a good reason to get involved, and you know, I'm just thrilled. You know, I can tell some fun stories about the RNC and being down at the inauguration and judiciary hearing last week, and I will. But most importantly, I'm just thrilled we have so many patriots that are coming out in Massachusetts. I was at a training in Lawrence yesterday, and it was packed. Couldn't find another seat. In Lawrence, people are angry, they're upset. I think finally the left has gone too far. We wondered where that would be. We may have found that. So it's a great time to run for office, and I guess they're putting the food around, but I'll tell you more after about it. But thank you.
All right.
Squared away here. I hope that you have enjoyed this Mexican food as much as I have.
Excellent.
This is always a great place to come eat, so come eat when you're not at a meeting. Okay, they're good people here. Okay, thank you for coming here tonight, and I hope that everybody has had enough Mexican food, and we've all enjoyed talking to each other. And it is great to have Brad Wyatt here tonight to speak with us. Okay, so now you know that he represents us on the Republican National Committee, and then Janet Fogarty also represents us on that committee. They are two representatives, a man and a woman. And so they are concerned with the Republican National Committee, which is the committee that is concerned with electing the president. And so they've done a great job, haven't they?
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Republican National Committee. Yeah. And then there's also the Republican National Senatorial Committee, and there's a Republican National Congressional Committee. So they do their thing, and they represent people to Congress. Okay, so that's not what Brad's into, but he was just telling me that he talks to him from time to time, so that's a good thing. All right, so at any rate, Brad has been a busy man these past several months. He's been a busy man throughout Massachusetts politics for years, and I appreciate everything, Brad, that you've done as an activist in Massachusetts, even before you began working at the national level. So thank you, and I believe that we can now welcome Brad to speak to us.
Thank you, Richard. And definitely give Richard a round of applause for putting this on. So I'm not sure where to begin, but I wake up every day and I go, it's a great day to be a Republican. I'm serious. I go on my X and I'm like, what did they cut today? This is beautiful. Okay? In my wildest dreams, I could not have imagined it would be this great. Seriously, this is the best president of my lifetime. I am enjoying every moment of this, watching him cut the waste, the fraud, every of that. And I just wonder, how low can Massachusetts go and get their budget cut before it turns around? And, you know, he did mention I talked to the National Senatorial and Congressional Committee a little, but really it's just hello because they're not interested in Massachusetts right now. We have to change that, and it's going to take time. And where I find my value right now is helping other candidates. I ran for school board back in 2009, and I won, and I learned how to win races. I am not a politician. I majored in computer engineering and math. I ran a business. I sold construction products around the country. This is very different politics than business. But I understand where that person's coming from when they're running for selectman in a town or school board. And my goal is to get 50 new Republicans elected around the state to local offices. And those people elected to planning board, to select board, those will eventually trickle up. And they will be our state rep and our state senator candidates. And eventually, maybe the National Congressional Committee will give us a call and we'll have a shot. But that's my goal. So I've been going around the state. Yesterday I was in Lawrence of all places. Wow. And that was amazing. We had a packed room. You could not fit another chair in there of people running for office. It was amazing. The momentum, the energy right now in Massachusetts is great. Before I go further, if anybody knows anybody who wants to run for local office, please call me. You know, go through Richard or your state committee person, but find a way to get a hold of me. As your national committee guy and a computer engineer, I'm big into data. I run databases, and the RNC Data Trust is where they hold the voter information, and it's very important to know who's registered to vote, if they show up to vote, if they're a frequent voter, if they're not a frequent voter. And now we need to know, are they an early voter or a vote by mail voter, or they vote on election day, because now we have to figure out when the mail has to get dropped, when the text has to arrive, all that. And that's all big databases. So I've been working the last couple of months trying to make the RNC Data Center work for us. And let me tell you, we have a lot of bad phone numbers. We had some bad data in there, but it's been refreshed, and it looks a lot better. And we're only going to get better with it, because without that important data, it's going to be hard for our candidates to win. It just is. So I'm a data guy. I'm sort of obsessed with it. I was on the phone from 11 o'clock until 5 o'clock today with different candidates all around the state, showing them this is the data for your town, this is how we use that data, this is how we get you elected. And that's what we have to do. We're going to build that farm team back up. I remember the days when my parents supported Bill Weld back in 92, was it? And 90, 92. And they ran people all around, and I want to see that stuff happen again. In fact, a funny story, my dad, I think somebody convinced him to run for selectman in West Boylston. And back then we didn't have a town administrator making $200,000 a year. Yeah. We had a strong select board, and so my father was the chairman of the select board, and he hired a patrolman who later became chief of police, who later put a Trump flag up in his police station. And I go, wow, my dad made a good hire back then. But you know, and my dad was an Air Force guy, you know, and believed in the Constitution. In fact, with our products, sometimes we would put in some quips about the Bill of Rights and stuff. So I was brought up around good liberty, constitutional ideas, and I think we have to bring that back at the local level. So I just wanted to say I love being a Republican now. It's a great thing. I'm a new guy on the block in a sense. I just was elected. I just started my term in August, and so I've only been on there for a little while, but I feel like I'm making a big impact, and I'm very excited. Does everybody know the chair of the RNC? Anybody know his name? Michael Watley?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of his top priorities is election integrity.
Yep.
And that's where I am. We need to make sure we have fair elections. So we're on the same page there. I had a good conversation with him. And there's also a co-chair of the RNC. And it used to be Laura Trump. You guys remember her?
Yeah.
Well, now it's a lady named Casey Crosby, who I consider a friend. We text, we chat all the time. And so they invited me down this week for the confirmation hearing for Harmeet Dillon.
Oh, nice.
You ever hear her name before?
Yeah, she's very good. Very
Terrific civil rights attorney.
Yep.
Terrific on election integrity.
Yep.
And let's keep our fingers crossed when they vote on her this week that after she gets elected, the U.S. government will challenge some election integrity stuff in Massachusetts.
Nice. Yeah.
You know,
nice.
and maybe instead of me having to raise money to sue the Secretary of State to give me a list of where ballots are being mailed, maybe the feds can get involved and start making things a little more fair.
Nice.
But I digress. So that was a lot of fun. I'd never been to a judiciary hearing before, so that was great. They actually gave me a tour of the RNC with the co-chair, and that was great. Just seeing the data room they had, talking to their data guy. We get along great, and so now I feel like knowing the staff, I can actually make an impact to help us win up here. So I'm very excited about that. Early voting. The Secretary of State, for the first time ever, gave us access to early voting. It took a threat of a lawsuit, but when I took over, I looked, and there were 4 states that did not give who voted early to the parties: Alabama, Mississippi, Kentucky, and Massachusetts. Now, do you know why those 3 didn't give the data? They didn't have the mail. They didn't have the early voting. So there's only 1 state in the country, and so I kept pressuring and threatening a lawsuit, and we finally were able to get it. So then, before the election, every Tuesday, every Friday, noontime, I would get a file from the Secretary of State. I would ship it down to the RNC. They would put it in their system, and then boom, it would automatically show up in our systems, so that we would not be sending mail to somebody who had already voted. We would not be texting somebody who had already voted. And so that was really, really valuable, and we're going to continue that. So I'm very, very happy about that. What else I got on? RNC data. Oh, yeah. Garbage in, garbage out. We got to fix the database. We got to have good cell numbers. I can't tell you how many times I look on there and a phone number's wrong. We know it's wrong. We should fix it, and we are going to fix it. I'm betting that when people were at the RNC in the past, and somebody said, "Hey, let's fix Massachusetts or let's fix Michigan or Pennsylvania," they probably spent their time on a swing state, and I can understand that. But this is the off season. I think it's time to get Massachusetts data proper so we can use it right. I mean, as RNC, as our Republican Town Committee members, you guys volunteer to help candidates. Doesn't it stink when you knock on a door and the wrong person's on the other side of it, or you make a phone call and you get boop, 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 that number? Like, that's no fun. We got to fix that. Make it easier for everybody. Local races. As I mentioned before, I'm really into local races. I think our future leaders come from those local races, and so we've got to do whatever we can to help them out, give them a hand up. I think most people, when they run for office, have great intentions, but have no idea what they're walking into with mail, with digital, with Facebook, with texting, all that stuff. And so it's our job to help them. So as RTC members, if you find somebody who wants to run for office, please point them our direction. With the Mass GOP, since I was elected, I said we got to do more trainings. So we've had a bunch of trainings. We just had one in Lawrence. I think on the 15th we're having one at my building in Worcester, which is nice. So if anybody wants to come, I think it's 10 o'clock. On the 15th, it's going to be at my office on the 2nd floor of a Dunkin' Donuts. Should be great. People are going to learn how the process works, and bring a friend. It's the best way is professional development, constantly learning, continuous improvement. So Worcester's coming up, and I think there's one scheduled for Gloucester and another scheduled for Quincy. So we're getting out there. We're talking to people. But I don't believe activity is progress. Progress is winning. All I want to do is win. I don't want to just go through the motions. You know, I was telling Richard, before this cycle, you know the last time an incumbent Democrat legislator lost to a Republican? Anybody have any idea?
40 years.
2014. 10 years of straight losing to every incumbent, every race in Massachusetts. Okay? We can't keep doing that. It has to change. That's insanity. And we are changing it with better data, better training, and we're going to start winning. And then the final thing I really have to say is the Mass GOP used to come and talk about all these things that they were planning on doing. We're actually doing it. I'm actually doing it. And I just want to say I'm from the Mass GOP and I'm here to help. my job is not to tell you what to do. My job is to help you have the tools to do what you need to do. When I had my factory with 100 employees making diamond blades, the guy in the diamond room, the guy in the cold press, the guy in the hot press, my job was never to tell them what to do. My job was to give them the tools to get the job done. You know, and for them to have a good communication. If they needed something, to let me know, and if I needed something from them, to let them know. And so that's my job. I'm a conduit of information, and I will do everything I can to help you guys win. And I wanted to point out one really cool thing. Charlie Kirk. How many people know Charlie Kirk?
Oh, he's great.
Love his videos, right?
Absolutely.
In theory, it's being planned, but April 28th, it's a Monday, we're hoping he's going to be in Boston doing one of those like change my mind things, which should be really fun. I have no idea the reception we're going to get in Boston. Could be very explosive, you know, but that's going to be a lot of fun. I do like Turning Point. They're one of my favorite organizations. There's been a change with the RNC. The RNC with Ron McDaniel used to think of these outside organizations as competition. Now they're not competition. They're collaborating.
Right.
We need groups like the PA Chase in Pennsylvania with Cliff Maloney. They're helping people chase ballots. Okay, we chase ballots in Massachusetts in some races. It really works. I've chased ballots in New Jersey, in Connecticut. We have to start doing that in Massachusetts. But the RNC has to work with outside groups to do this. It can't all be RNC's good, everybody else bad. And so the point is, we're all starting to work together. We're all singing off the same sheet of music thanks to President Trump. And this is the way the boat's going. So jump on, enjoy the ride, and we're going to win. So I got time for questions if anybody has any. I know everybody just had a good dinner. Yes?
How can we clean the ballot rolls?
Okay, that's a great question. So I got the voter file about 2 weeks ago, and I took it and I gave it to my printer. And you might say, why would you give it to your printer? I said, well, he's my mail house, and I want to see if I mailed everybody that was registered to vote, how many would come back, return to sender. Good idea. Only about 25,000 would come back. So what that means is those are legitimate mailing addresses for legitimate people. But the problem with that is, I think it means they're not cheating that way in Massachusetts. The way that cheating happens in Massachusetts is legalized ballot harvesting. If you go down to Boston or you go down to Worcester, they have all these mail-in ballots that show up all on the same day in the projects, and they have somebody going along helping every person fill out their ballot. That's the path, and their vote counts just as much as yours, and I would say it almost counts more than yours because they're getting 50 at a time in the amount of time it takes for you to drive there and do one.
When you say projects, you mean the housing projects?
Yes, where the houses are very close together and they just all come in the mail. So I don't know if our voting rolls need cleaned up, but our voting structure, and that could be a civil rights issue because your vote matters. And so I'm hoping we can get some federal government perhaps involvement to make sure that our votes are counted fairly. Yes?
Meeting March 15th that you're going to run, you said that's in Worcester.
Yes, it's in Worcester.
What's the address?
765 West Boylston Street.
Oh, I've got that. Okay.
Yep, it's 765 West Boylston Street in Worcester. It's the second floor of a Dunks, and there's a door on the north side of the door. And sadly, I'm at that Dunks most of my days, and I've gained a lot of weight there. It's a great place to have an office. I feel like I'm screaming, but I know we got to talk loud or whatever, so I apologize if I'm screaming.
No,
Yeah.
that's good.
How do the machines ever get in here? I don't remember voting on it. I don't remember the town talking about it.
Just happened.
Why?
Well, there's different types of machines. First off, there are the machines that take the paper ballot and count them. I'm sort of okay with that, okay? But then there are machines where you just touch and it's supposed to register your vote. I don't like that because there's no traceability on those. And what machines do they have?
Paper ballots, but it's all digitized data. And
I'm actually fine with the paper ballots on that. I don't think that's how they cheat us. I think they literally just go into the populated cities and they harvest every last vote they possibly can. And by the way, that's what the PA Chase did in Pennsylvania, but on the other side. They went into the rural areas and they went door to door and registered voters. and made sure they were registered to vote, and then by mail, and then when the ballots came back, they went back and said, I want to help you turn your ballot in, knowing most of them were probably going to be voting for Trump. And every Republican also knows that. So we learned from what happened in 2020 how not to let that happen again. Yes?
How can the RTCs use your data to contact Republicans in our town?
That is a great question. So the software package we're using is called Numenar, and I really like it. And so I talked to the Numenar people and I said, I want to try something different in Massachusetts. And they've given us the software this year for free. We have to pay next year, but that's fine. But this year I can make an instance up for a candidate like John Smith for Duxbury City Council. Okay? But I can also make one up for the RTC of Lawrence. And with that, I can take people who are pro-gun, pro-life, pro-Trump, or pro-GOP, and I can put them in a bucket. And then the Lawrence people can look at that bucket and see if they know anybody. And with the software, this is the coolest feature. Okay? You take your phone, you put the app on it, you join the campaign like RTC Lawrence, and then you say match my contacts. And it finds out your cell numbers of all your friends. It matches them up with the cell number of the data at the RNC. And it says these are the Republicans in your town that might be likely to join. And it all pops up. And by the way, you hit a button, you can text them and say, hey, I'd like to invite you to the next meeting. Just like that. And by the way, the candidate stuff works the same way. If Richard is running for a state rep, he can ask all his friends to put this app on his phone. And you know, state reps are gerrymandered. You don't know which rep district you're in sometimes. So you ask everybody to put the app on their phone, join the Richard for State Rep campaign, and then it's going to show a list of people you know that are in his district. You can just text them all right there, campaigning from your couch. Be like, please vote. It populates and everything. Please vote for my friend Richard. Please vote for my friend Richard. And these are all people you know. And what's great about that is, everybody ever get spam texts?
No.
Okay. Exactly. Nobody likes them. I don't like them. But this is not a spam text. It's a text from Brad to a friend. And by the way, when I text my friend, do you know how much it costs to campaign? Nothing. Because most people are on a texting plan themselves. And so it goes from my text to my friend. So those are some of the skills. And if you want any of those software packages, all you have to do is find your state committee person and contact me. And I'll build your universe for you, give you a login, give you a little training for about half an hour on a Zoom, and then you're off and running. Yes?
Do you have any kind of reliable email addresses for this dude?
So emails are problematic. Something happened with emails a couple months ago where now you have to have additional authorization to run emails. And so I have not had good luck with emails. Like, if I gave you 500 emails, what do you do with them? If you put them in the system, they're going to say you're a spammer. So I can't even give you 500 emails to use anymore. You might be able to feather them in 25 at a time for 20 days or something like that. But in general, if I give my emails out to somebody and you install it on MailChimp or Mail Sender or what's the other one, Constant Contact, they're going to think you're a spammer. And that's not good. So I'm happy to give emails out, but I don't think they're going to work well.
Okay, so Brad, what has there been anything that has surprised you about being on the RNC?
Yeah. What the biggest thing that surprised me is how great the other RNC members are. We have a terrific guy down in Rhode Island, Joe Powers. Love talking to him. The new co-chair, Casey Crosby's terrific. There's just a bunch of really great people. I have a good relationship with a fellow in Wisconsin, Terry Dietrich. By the way, do you know the most important election coming up in April? Supreme Court in Wisconsin. The court up there is split, and this will decide it. If the Democrat wins, then they'll control redistricting, the right to work law. They're going to control everything. There probably will be $60 to $80 million spent on one Supreme Court judge race on the ballot April 1st. And so that's where all the action is going right now. But he's a really good guy, but I'm just really enjoying meeting with these guys, and they all have their different skills, you know. There's a guy, Steve Nagel in North Dakota. He's really good on the Make America Healthy Again stuff. And it's just nice meeting with them all. Yeah.
You're not a rhino, you're a
No.
Trump supporter.
Right.
But you got voted in by the state committee.
Yes.
So how did that happen? What do they think about it?
Great question. How did that happen? It could be that I spent 15 years helping different people win races, and they felt like they owed me a vote for helping them for many, many years. And I only won by a vote, so it was close. Very close. 37-35. So one person flipped, I lose. You know. 38-year incumbent. His name was Mr. RNC. So when I go down there to DC, I have a lot of respect because I took out the king.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
I was in that room when it happened.
Yeah, you were there. Yeah.
And the clapping and whooping and just the excitement and the relief.
Yes.
And in 10 minutes, who called you? Who called your cell phone in 10 minutes?
Oh, everybody called.
Laura Trump.
Oh yeah.
Laura Trump called in a quarter of an hour on his cell phone.
Yeah.
So we weren't just like, oh my God, let it be Brad.
Yeah.
RNC.
No, it was great. It was really good. A lot of the guys in the RNC are pretty happy, so it's good. But yeah, I think hard work can get you there. You know, I built lists for a lot of people for a lot of time, and I just help people get elected. And I have a slogan that I use all the time. You know, I'm obviously not a rhino, but I call it data over drama. And I just want to help people win. Data over drama. I don't want to get involved in the personal attacks between people. I just don't have the time for it. Life's too short. I'm very business oriented. I just want to get through it and win. If it leads us to winning, I'm with you. If it doesn't, then you guys go squabble by yourself. I'm going to help somebody who does want to win. And that's where I put my time in.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. You know, I don't want to waste my time losing. Yeah.
I have a lot of Democrat, neighbors and Republicans and stuff like that, but,
And you live in Massachusetts?
yeah.
I can't believe it.
I think they jab me a lot on purpose. Everyone, my wife keeps going, they're doing it on purpose. But yeah, there's some rhinos in there, but I don't know, is there any dinos?
I don't know, but I will say a funny story. So when you go to an RNC meeting, you introduce yourself, and I say I'm from Massachusetts, and usually they're like, oh, Massachusetts, horrible, So I make it even better. I go, Brad Wyatt, Massachusetts, he, him. And that breaks the ice and they can start laughing. But yeah, that's what a dino would probably do. That's one good thing. I do have a good sense of humor, and I'm pretty lighthearted about it. So I'm making a lot of friends down there. We all get along well. I don't take it serious, and we make it work. Did you have a question?
I just said the dino issue. What do you think of Diana DiZoglio?
I'm very impressed. She's challenging the establishment. That's phenomenal. I'm very happy for her. I hope she does well.
Is she ever going to be able to do an audit?
Maybe the Fed has to get involved. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that I'm not a big fan of initiative petition because look at what happened here. It passed, but what really happened?
Right.
Nothing.
Well, worse than nothing. The people that went out and worked on that campaign and got the signatures, do you know what they weren't doing when they were doing that? Helping Republicans get elected, which is why we haven't won anything since 2014. Okay? We had the same thing on a gun ballot question. And what happened with that one?
Right? Nothing.
Emergency preamble. And now all of a sudden, boom. We could have been spending our time helping Republicans get up there to stop these bad 2A laws. And instead we did petitions. Now, I'm not going to say I hate the people who do petitions. I like them. They're my friends. I'm just not personally a big fan of them. I will tell you there's a really good point about data. We got the data from the gun group. And within 3 days, I was able to turn it around. And for every Republican candidate running for state rep, I was able to give them a list of who they needed to text and say, look, I'll support your Second Amendment rights if Maura Healey won't. So please vote for me. And we turned that around, and I saw the text go out and the text comments. Those people loved hearing that somebody actually gave a crap about their issue. So I do like the data from those petition initiatives, but I know it costs a lot of money, costs a lot of time, and I just wonder, could we be better off, electing some state reps? They'll actually get on a soapbox on Beacon Hill and say, we need to fix Beacon Hill. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's key. We wasted a lot of time with the previous chair of the Mass GOP, which no one knows what he paid himself. And just running these ballot questions because we couldn't get people elected. But also I'm wondering, when we see what they did to Senator Tran, and who knows who did,
Disgusting.
was
Disgusting what they did to him.
there's a lot of evidence that if the Mass GOP had an effective legal team, you could really go after the people who targeted Tran, which is Maura Healy, Karen Spilka, and a number of others, because it's all there on how they initiated that. Like State Committee woman Susan Smiley, who probably wrote the letter, but she was representing what was labeled a white nationalist in the area. So to benefit her potential target of Tran in the primaries, they wrote this letter to Spilka, and Spilka used literally a letter that the Democrats said, this person, to benefit a white nationalist. So, and then Maura Healy went and did her thing to Tran. And we had Jamie Eldridge going around the district and showing up at ballot question tables with thugs from Somerville. If we had an effective legal team and we could put money at these transgressions, I don't even think you'd have to run a campaign against Healy, because you could take her out and some of these other people, Jamie Eldridge.
Well, yeah, you just have to remember though, who appoints the judges?
Huh?
Who appoints the judges in Massachusetts?
Yeah, Governor's Council.
No, not the governor's council. The governor.
The governor.
Okay, so the judges, do you think they'd be fair?
I think they'll be more fair with Pam Bondi, Tom Holman. If we can get them, we really need them up here.
Now you're moving along the right track. We have to get it out of these people and get it up to those people.
Yeah, I mean, you see Hillary's changing her tune now. So if the Mass GOP could put some money in against what has happened, these people can come from DC, and you could probably
my gut is
Democrats out just with
my gut is there'll be examples made of a couple people, and most people fall in the line after that. I just don't know who that's going to be, and I don't know. I mean, you got Kash Patel, you've got Pam Bondi, you got all those people. If I were them, I'd be looking and licking my lips at Massachusetts. Oh, and this is a target-rich environment. Who do we go after today? Wu, Eldridge, Spilka. I mean, they're all dirty. They become millionaires after they get in office, right? I mean,
they put right what they were doing. Eldridge put it right on Facebook that he was gathering people to go and confront Republicans at these tables, which is a violation of the civil rights and state law.
You know what?
Secretary of State.
Take that, put a letter, send it to the civil rights attorney that hopefully gets approved in a couple days, and maybe somebody looks at it. Just like Dean Tran, they're looking at pardons, stuff like that. I think the world is shifting here in Massachusetts, and I think we're getting away from the Massachusetts control stuff and hopefully onto the federal to hopefully guide Massachusetts to start doing the right thing again. But yeah, it's depressing. Yeah, Kathy?
Just to follow that, isn't there a working group that was announced on lawfare? I thought I had heard wrong.
I think I did see, I think I saw an email with something like that in there.
Yeah.
But I don't know specifically what's going on yet, I'll be paying very close attention soon.
Yeah.
I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
I do think it does make a difference. The more people we have elected locally, the more pressure we can apply upwards, and the better it makes it for everybody along the entire path of government. Yes.
I have a question that's around the work that I do, and what do you think the prospects are of Republicans actually agreeing to go after the public record law as a candidate's issue?
The Republican Party itself?
The candidates, because I've had, Brad Hill, Bruce Tarr, lots of people helped me get into meetings. But the fact that there's no public record law across the country in the legislative branch is unbelievably ridiculous. And so I've had to fight my way in. That's what my story is about, and I've covered over 500 public hearings. So I figured out how to get the public hearings, but why doesn't anybody wake up? I mean, I could go up there today.
Well, we just had the.
People would say, I didn't know that.
They just had the rules package voted on. Did everybody see how the rules package went? Lack of transparency. Everybody just fell into line with the Speaker of the House.
They need the public record law across the country, so I think it should be a national platform. And
Do you have a congressman to sponsor it or anything, or have you written it, or like that's sort of what you have to do is you have to write the law and then find a congressman to sponsor it.
I did with Brad Hill and Bruce Tarr, and the Rules Committee held it up, but 20 years later and a lot more, footwork.
Yeah.
I'm coming to the conclusion that it's really consciousness raising a nightmare, that the people who are elected need to come to the understanding that their meetings, their committee hearings are all hearsay. They're not legal. They don't have to hold a meeting. They don't have to tell you. They don't have to give you FOIA, nothing. So they charge the press. I've been covering this particular topic, freedom of speech and public access. So I'm just saying, here you are, Committeeman. I know you. I've been to many of your meetings. I've seen everybody from around.
Who am I supposed to talk to? Like, who do I talk to? I mean, no congressman in Massachusetts is Republican, so.
Talk to the Republicans themselves, because why hasn't anybody said there's something wrong with this?
They do say it. Mass Fiscal Alliance says it's wrong.
But the thing is, they need to get onto the public record law. That's what's wrong. Not that there's no transparency. Of course there isn't, because there's no law forcing them to do it.
But we can't pass a law until we elect more Republicans in Massachusetts. We can barely stop a law, let alone introduce a bill.
No, this needs to be a serious national Republican beat.
Right, so okay, I agree with you. So it's on a national scale. The Republicans nationally, we don't have any congressmen. We don't have any senators. We're better off looking in Florida for a congressman to carry the bill. Ultimately you need a champion in the Congress to take your bill and to try to drive it through. And so you've got to find that champion. And I would say that it probably needs to be a Republican champion. And if you're looking for a Republican champion, Massachusetts is probably the wrong place.
No, but why not just the RNC themselves making a statement that the public record law is a problem across the nation? Why not make it a talk subject? Never is talked about except me.
Okay, well, because this is really simple, and here's a political lesson for you. This is a really good political lesson. If you're the RNC, would you rather be talking about illegal immigration and that criminal that just got released on rape, or would you rather talk about your public record law? What is going to elect more Republicans?
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi did everything at night, overnight meetings that she could.
But you just said we had to talk about it. I'm just saying, that's why the RNC doesn't talk about it, because they want to talk about this, not that, because this is going to elect more Republicans. They do the political calculus, and they say this is probably a better play. But what you could do is find a congressperson. It's what?
It's criminal that failed to keep the public record. It's criminal. We're all criminals.
You're not getting an argument from me. I remember back in 2014 they passed the gun bill, and I couldn't get a list of how they voted in the subcommittee, and I was furious about it. And it was all hearsay. This person voted this way, this person voted this way. Nobody could tell me the truth, and it was painful. But I don't have a solution for this, other than you find a congressman if it's a national problem, and they have to carry the bill. But the RNC is never gonna touch that. And especially as a new RNC guy that's been on there for 4 months, not gonna happen. And by the way, we have the momentum. We have the momentum right now. I don't want to lose the momentum. We have the momentum all around the state. I mean, did you see the TikTok thing about the Worcester woke people for a sanctuary city? I mean, we have the momentum. You know, those are the things that make the Democrats look stupid. You know, that's what we need to do. Just keep making them look stupid so we can elect Republicans all across the ticket. And then maybe we can start passing some laws that are better. What was it? Nice, that's cool.
That is nice.
That is good. Yeah, I was joking. Not one county in Massachusetts went red. Bristol came close, but we got to get more towns going all red. Yeah. I will say the Republican Party seems to be switching a little. Some of the cities are coming our way on stuff. I think they're tired of like all the boarded up buildings and crime and no jobs. And so I think, like I said, the momentum is moving our direction. We just got to keep the ball and not drop it, not get distracted, not do anything stupid, and I think we're going to be set up for a real nice midterm.
Nice.
Yes?
How do we change Massachusetts from being a sanctuary state?
That's a great
We
question.
didn't vote for that.
What was that?
We did not vote for a sanctuary state.
Well, you voted for more Healy.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with you. I hope they keep pushing the sanctuary state thing because it's a terrible issue for them. Terrible issue for them. And they're going to keep pushing it. And eventually Tom Homan's going to show up.
Yeah.
And they're going to make an example out of this state.
Hopefully.
You know, not the day nor the time, but it will happen. When I saw Tom down in D.C. at one of the inauguration balls, I said, "Hey, Tom, come here for a second." He's like, "Yeah." And he said, "I saw you at the convention in Springfield, and I'm just going to say, we need you in Massachusetts." He's like, "I'm on my way." And I'm like, "This is good." So I think Tom is going to be coming. You know?
Everybody here said trust. We need you in Massachusetts.
Actually, speaking of sending a message, if you go to ndei.ed.gov, you can submit a complaint about DEI in any school. I'm trying to see which district gets the most complaints, and I'm hoping it's somebody in Massachusetts. I think it's ndei.ed.gov. So if you get the chance, go there. Make sure to let them know that they're treating people unequally and discriminating.
You're saying ENDDEI?
Yep, endei.ed.gov. Yes, sir.
What do you think about this Worcester trans
Oh my God.
sexual sanctuary city?
Actually, I got a funny story for you on that. So, Donna Calorio, she's one of the city council people. She called me up. She's like, "Brad, these people are crazy. Look at what they're doing." I said, "Yeah." She's like, I held the item today, but they're going to come back next Tuesday, like crazy, and you know they're going to pass this thing, this sanctuary city for trans. This is terrible. I said, "Okay, let me see what I can do." So, as an RNC member, I actually had a liaison to the White House, and I just got the number the day before. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call this person up. So I call her up, and she doesn't answer. I leave a message. She calls me back like an hour later. I said, "I just got to tell you, I hate to call you so soon. It's only been like a day since I got your number, but Worcester's in a world of hurt here, and they're passing this trans sanctuary city stuff, going against the federal laws and Trump, and you know, you guys need to know about this so we can do something." And she says, "Well, did it pass?" I said, "No, they held it for a week, but it's going to be crazy next week." And she's like, "Well, just call me if it passes." So a week later, I sent her the video and everything. She was like, "Wow, you're right." Holy Toledo, I had no idea this was coming. So I will say they are aware of it. I'm not sure when they will break out and use something like that in one of their policy positions or statements. Maybe they're a little busy with Ukraine right now. But I do think they'll find a way to do it. And by the way, them doing a sanctuary state for trans is probably the best thing for the Republican Party in this state.
Yeah.
They look like absolute morons.
Yep.
And they are.
Yeah.
And I'm loving every second of it. I hope they continue it. I hope they double down. I hope Massachusetts Worcester is the poster child for what not to do. Because, you know, nobody wants to invest in Worcester anymore. Businesses are closing. You know, I used to have my business in Worcester. It's long gone. You know, they've destroyed the city with this poor leadership. Yes.
I was writing something down 20 minutes ago, and you were talking about getting an app so that we could get the data that you were talking about. Could you go over that again, please?
Sure. There's an app called Numenar, and you put it on your phone. Numinar. You put it on your phone, and then you connect with your RTC. It says connect with an organization, so you just search for your organization, like RTC Townsend, and it'll pop right up. However, the caveat to that is you have to talk to me first so I can create that organization. So I could create an organization for Groton, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's there. You can use the app, and you can look for any Republicans that are Trump supporters or pro Second Amendment or whatever. Yes, sir.
What was that website you said, the DE?
NDEI.
NDEI.
I think it's .ed.gov.
So END, I think, the word end.
Yeah, like NDEI. Yeah, I'm more for MEI, Merit, Excellence, Intelligence. I'm not a DEI guy. And you can file a complaint about your school.
So is Holman as tough as he sounds?
Yeah, he is.
Is he?
Yes,
In
he
person,
is.
he's really tough.
He really
guy.
is. Yep.
I can't wait till he comes to Boston.
I guarantee you he'll be here.
Some people here did not hear him at the Springfield convention. You could.
Oh, he was great.
Tell people that he spoke in.
Yeah, he did. Tom Homan came to the Springfield convention.
Oh, yeah?
Jim Lyons, I guess, was close with him and was able to bring him here.
That's awesome.
It was great. He was terrific. And Byron Donalds, by the way, is also great.
He's great.
I bump into him everywhere I go. It's the weirdest thing. I have a video of him being a DJ at a party in Milwaukee. I walked into the Capitol Hill Club when I was in D.C. He's just sitting there holding court with some young kids. I mean, everywhere I go, I bump into Byron Donalds. I think he's going to be a phenomenal governor
really
of Florida. But don't leave. Stay here en masse, please. Please don't leave. I know everybody leaves. Don't leave.
So what's going to happen to Wu next Wednesday? You think they'll...
Oh, down there?
Yeah.
She's going to raise some money, pontificate, try to get the progressives to love her, disagree. You know, that's what's going to happen. Actually, I can tell you some funny stories about the Judiciary Committee that I was in. So Harmeet Dillon is being questioned by the Republicans and the Democrats. And the Democrats are sort of jerks about it, but that's it. Republicans are sort of fun. And one of the Republicans go, Ms. Dillon, can you tell us how many companies Joe Biden went after for discrimination with DEI? And Harmeet Dillon goes, well, you know, we're not really sure the answer. I don't think there were any. And he goes, and it was Senator Schmidt from Missouri goes, it was a Blutarsky, 0.00. And the whole place broke down. It was hilarious. And then you guys know John Kennedy, right? The Louisiana guy? So he was sitting next to Schmidt, and John Kennedy, right next to Harmeet Dillon was a guy, I think his name, I can't remember his name, but he was running to be part of the Attorney General's office. So he was being questioned, and he had his wife and two lovely kids with him sitting in the back. So all the questions were done, and he was formerly Ted Cruz's chief of staff. And Ted Cruz was chairing the meeting at that time because Grassley had left. And he was smirking. And so Cruz is smirking, and John Kennedy goes, Cruz is like, well, everybody's asked their questions. I guess it's time to close the meeting. And John Kennedy goes, wait, I have one very important question to ask. And this is going to decide whether I vote for this nominee or not. And Senator Cruz goes, by all means. And the question is for Senator Cruz's former chief of staff who was being questioned, so this was all pre-planned. He goes, I need to know. And then he goes, do Sam and Hannah, would they vote for their dad? You know, it was just so funny. And the little kids are in their little suits and they're like, yes, yes, you know. And he goes, well, that's good enough for me. And, like, John Kennedy's a real nice guy. I liked what he had to say. Good attitude. And the guy from Schmidt was funny with the Blutarsky reference. But, you know, somebody says you're not doing it right if you're not having fun. And, you know, winning is fun. It really is fun. And we have to start, you know, a contagion of winning here in Massachusetts and start having some fun. Yeah.
How much help is Amy Carnival towards trying to win in the Republican Party? Does she have any fun at that?
You know, we talk every once in a while. You know, she does support my efforts at the local level. She comes around to some trainings and she goes to some events. And I'm more got my hands on the button, trying to make sure our data works and everything. And I think she's raising money. So I don't know. That's really all I know.
She seems like kind of a rhino.
Well, I think she is a lobbyist. You know,
She is a lobbyist.
you know, and she does get paid by the party now. You know,
How do you get paid?
I have my own business.
So you're a volunteer for all this?
Yes, this is all volunteer. In fact, it costs me money, a lot of money, because I travel quite a bit for this. But it's fine. Life's been good. I invested in my little brother's company. He makes drones.
Good company to be in.
Did they end up in New Jersey over the summer?
Yeah, I don't know where they went. But in all seriousness, I actually own a Dunkin' Donuts in Florida. And so I'm friends with the Dunkin' Donuts guys, and so I get a nice rent check every month. I can live with that. Any other fun questions? Well, I hope I entertained a little. I hope it was interesting. Hope we all learned something.
Okay, do any of the other town chairs want to say anything at this meeting while we're still gathered? Do you want to say something, Paul? Okay. All right. Thank you to everybody who came here. I hope that we will see you at future events, that we will see you out and about campaigning for candidates, that we will see you in the public square. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard.
Richard, really appreciate it. Hey, very nice to meet you.